Fabulous. Right. So let's get started. I'm really excited to see you all. Thank you for joining. It's fantastic to have you here. As I say, my name's Teresa Hargreaves. I'm your business coach for today from We've Got This, and I'm really looking forward to the start of this week of Coaching Bites for Busy People. Today, we're going to focus on from chaos to clarity and looking at some sort of time management hacks that will really help us work to our best potential and get the best out of the time that we have. So who am I? I thought briefly, there'll be a few of you on here that don't know who I am. So I am Teresa Hargreaves, and I have to admit, I think my name Teresa is one of the hardest names for people to pronounce in the world because the majority of people that I come across don't get it right. So I've slowly over time realized that the best way to introduce myself is I'm T. Just call me T if you don't think you can get Teresa right. It's interesting, isn't it, when we meet people, what we actually hear and what we take in. And this is something that as a coach, I'm very, very keen to be aware of because listening is a very difficult skill. And then being able to repeat that back. And in essence, that's the key to what we do in coaching. So I'm a business coach. I'm trained with the British School of Coaching. And after having over 25 years in a very fast-paced, target-driven corporate environment within the food industry, I literally crashed and burned. And for the last 8 years, I have been building a business on trying to help people not get to that same place. Outside of my business, outside of We've Got This, I do all sorts of things to help me grow and be the best version of myself. So these photographs on the page here will just help introduce you to me a little bit more, of which my partner in crime is my black Labrador called Rolo, who comes with me and does everything. As much as I can, I do with him. He's fantastic. If you want to know more about me, there's a QR code down in the bottom corner. Feel free to join my LinkedIn page and to find out a little bit more. And if you want to stalk me, I'm comfortable with that as long as it doesn't involve the police. So,
Teresa, I'm not sure I can see the slide actually. I still got the
ah,
first slide rather than the slide of you.
oh, is that the same for everybody else?
Yeah, Alison's just popped that in the chat.
Well, that's going to cause me a problem because I'm not sure what to do about that. So,
It's not in present mode. I can see the Canva. There's a little present button.
oh,
We can just see it in Canva at the moment.
oh, can you? Ah, right. Okay. So let me just, hmm, what can you see
We
now?
can now see
Can you
who
see
we
it?
support. Yeah,
Can you see
that's.
everything? Can you see the whole screen? Or the camera
We can see
side?
down the left-hand side, it's templates and apps. So we can see that it's in Canva
Oh,
rather than in presentation mode. But we're now on slide 3.
amazing. Thank you, Rachel. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it on there for today and then I'll have it sorted by tomorrow.
Sure.
Brilliant. So, very conscious. I'm just trying to whip through who are the type of people and industries that we support, and we've got this. So, it's a cross section of all sorts. So, I have supported people in manufacturing, obviously coming from a manufacturing, sales, marketing, global food industry. I have a lot of expertise in this area. I've also worked with civil and structural engineers, head teachers, and trust senior leaders, network marketers. I have run a network marketing business, so I have really good understanding of those complications and stresses and strains that we have within a small business and also network marketing. I work alongside many social enterprises from seaweed farms to organisations that help support within education. I collaborate with recruitment agencies and I've mentored PR and marketing businesses and lots and lots and lots of people in sales. So I hope that gives you a really good introduction to who I am and some of the areas that I work within. So today we are going to really focus in on time management hacks that actually work. These are ideas, solutions, support areas that I've put into practice personally and have shared with many of my clients and that have drilled down into areas that actually drive a difference to helping us be the best version of ourselves. So the thing that I find really interesting when I talk to anybody is that they tell me, I just don't know where the time goes. I can't believe it. There just aren't enough hours in the day. How many times can you catch yourself saying those words? It's amazing, isn't it? We all have 24 hours a day. Every single one of us has exactly the same amount of time every day to achieve what we have to achieve. And yet, very often, it catches us out. You'd think by now, as grown adults, that we would know what we were doing. So always try and center yourself when you say there aren't enough hours in the day. There are absolutely enough hours in the day. It's just, I think sometimes we put ourselves under pressure to be superhuman. And if you are specifically a woman of my generation, I'm 50 years old, we were taught that you could be and do everything. And I've come over the years to understand and believe that I don't think that's true. You can absolutely have everything, but just not necessarily at the same time. So cut some slack, give yourself some slack. Lots of people talk about workplace stress and also about burnout. And having been through that process, it's awful. There's a clear stat now that the World Health Organization recognizes that burnout and workplace stress is an occupational phenomenon. And that chronic workplace stress is really because it is not successfully managed. So no wonder we become overloaded and then we cause distractions because we're overloaded. And often procrastination evolves, which causes to more overload. And we procrastinate because it's built in the foundations of fear. So understanding what we are really fearful of is really important. So here's a question. Where does the time actually go? Do we really know where our 24 hours go? Have you ever done a daily time audit on your time? Do you really know where your time goes? I know I didn't, so I did the audit a long time ago, and oh my goodness, I was so surprised. Apparently, 40% of our time is spent doing daily habitual actions. So we automatically do stuff. We automatically get up, we brush our teeth, we make the breakfast, we put the laundry in, we go to work, we put the kettle, we meet somebody in the kitchen if you're in an office environment. We spend so much time on emails. We just do 40% of our time is done without thinking. Wouldn't it be interesting to know what that 40% would look like if we actually gave it some thought? Time blindness is a real thing. So let me give you a real life example, and this is in sort of the domestic world. I had a client who had been homeschooling her daughter. Then the daughter and her decide it's time to go back to school. So she enrolls in the school, which is different to where she'd gone previously. And my client had to drive her to school, be the mum taxi, drop her off at school, come home, go to work, and do the same thing at the end of the day. And in her head, she was like, well, it's only a 10-minute drive, it's fine. I've got no problem. I can be mum taxi. She came to me because she couldn't understand where her time was going. And so we did the time audit. And all of a sudden we realized that that journey from literally being ready to leave the house, to get to school, to going back to work was taking her 35 minutes. So do that twice a day. That's an hour and 10 minutes, which in her head, she'd assumed was 10 minutes times 2, 20 minutes. No wonder she was losing time and time again. And that was just one small thing. So you can imagine when you do the time audit and go through, there's minutes and chunks of time that you're totally unaware of. The average worker, apparently, is productive for only 3 hours a day. So let me just let Jeannie in. So potentially, if you're at work for 8 hours a day, whether that be working from home, working in an office, driving to an event, performing the actions that you need to take, you're assuming you're working productively for 8 hours for all of that time. Well, actually, no. There's only 3 hours of really good productive work. And then if you do that time audit, I bet you'll be really surprised at where that time is going and how much of your time is actually efficient and effective. Another 40% of our time is spent in distraction and switching. Hands up, who is a social media scroller? How much time do we lose in that world of social media? We might just pop into LinkedIn just because we want to send a message to somebody, or we saw a post that somebody's told us about, and then all of a sudden we've lost 20 minutes. And what about that social media scrolling that is not work related? How much of our life do you lose on your phone scrolling through? It's scary, isn't it? So my first tip is put some time aside to do yourself a time audit. Do it for every day for 7 days. Do what does Monday look like? What does Tuesday look like? What does Wednesday look like, etc. And most importantly, also look at Saturday and Sunday, because do not forget that weekends are as important as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because then you can start to make a difference in your life. We now have our time audit. So let's start to make some real plans as to make it better. First of all, what are our non-negotiables? What is in our time audit that must happen? So one non-negotiable is you must wake up in the morning. How privileged are we to wake up every day? What a privilege to spend this time. So what time are you going to wake up? What are the non-negotiables around your family? What are the non-negotiables around yourself? And what are the non-negotiables about the work that you have to deliver? Then, on the activities that you have going on in the day, where can you ask for help? Is there somebody that can either job share with you or can actually do the work? Could you delegate some of it out? So a simple example would be you chair a meeting every week. Do you send the agenda out, write the minutes, send the minutes out? Or could you delegate that out to somebody else? Where can you save yourself just a couple of minutes, 5 minutes in every single task? Because all of a sudden, those 5 minutes will soon add up and you'll have an hour to yourself. Similarly, where can you job share? So is there something that you do on a regular basis that you could maybe alternate with somebody else on a regular basis? So you do it on week 1, they do it on week 2, you do it on week 3, they do it on week 4. Similarly, in your home life, potentially you might have pets or you might have children. Where could you share a task with another parent, another pet owner, a neighbor, so that it doesn't always all fall on your shoulders? And then, of course, there's technology. AI. I'm going to say the words AI, the letters AI. There's so much noise around it at the moment, isn't it? And there's negative and positive. I wonder where you sit on that. It's here and it's here to stay. So let's embrace it. Do you remember before we had emails and before we had everything electronic, we would do faxes? Can you remember faxes? Putting it into the machine and typing in the numbers. And then that moved to a memo. Can you remember sending a memo? And then it became electronic. We were all a bit, ooh, not sure about this. Where's the paper trail going to be? There'll be no accountability. Oh my goodness, how has that ramped up? We embraced it and look where we are today. I remember Facebook coming in and I was dead set against it. No, I am not doing Facebook. And I worked in the corporate world and everybody knew whenever I went to a marketing meeting and we were launching something and they would throw the slides up about how we were going to put it on Facebook and engage with our customer. And I was like, no, 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 no. I don't believe in it. How wrong was I? The last person to come to Facebook. So I'm definitely going to be the first person to embrace AI and use it as your critical friend. Use it as a way of helping and supporting you so that you can then be the best version of yourself. Use it to find some time hacks. So, for example, you might be researching a new market. And in that market, oh, sorry, somebody trying to speak. In that market, you might be struggling to break in. I listened to a podcast of a gentleman who was trying to break into a market in China and he really just couldn't get in. And there were so many cultural differences. So he used AI to ask questions about the culture, ask questions to work out about the market, asked AI to say, give me 5 things that I should think about in order to be able to communicate with my potential client. And what he'd been working on for 3 months, suddenly he got a breakthrough in 2 days because he used AI to be his critical friend and partner. And then, most importantly, what can you stop? What can you stop doing? Because now you've done your time audit, you're fully aware of where your time is going. There's loads of things we can stop. And I'm sure it will be really enlightening when you do that time audit. So now let's make some rules. We know where our time is going. We know what we need to prioritize. So let's make some rules. So what time do you start your day? Are you somebody that gets up at 7:10 every day, your feet hit the floor and it's bang, 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 bang until you get out of the door? You then come into the office, the computer is on and it's non-stop. Or you might be somebody that literally rolls out of bed and straight onto your computer. Is that the most productive use of your time? Is that the best way to start your day so you are effective throughout the day? I'm what's called a miracle morning girl. I start my day at 5 o'clock, Monday to Friday, no matter what. And I give myself permission to have the first couple of hours of the day for me. Because I know when my battery's full, I can give to everybody else. So therefore, conversely, what time are you going to end your day? What time is cut off? What time do you cut off from work? What time do you cut off from the family? What time do you cut off from yourself? Have a think about that because that is really important for planning what your 24 hours look like. When do you eat and drink? What a daft question. Why would somebody ask you when do you schedule your eating and drinking time? Well, because in order for you to be the best version of yourself, you need to know when your breakfast is, when your lunch is, and when your tea is. Whether you agree with it or not, or if you're just a 2 meal person a day, your 2 meals. Because if you don't schedule in the time to eat, you'll often not eat. Are you one of these people that sits at your desk or gets stuck into an event or is busy with a project and you forget to eat? I'm not one of those people. I'm the converse of that. That's maybe my problem. But food nourishes us. Drinking our 2 liters of water keeps us functioning. So if you don't make sure you've scheduled that in, you can't be the best version of you. And then where is your me time? Where's your meaningful time with your family and your friends? Making sure you've thought about you, the people that matter to you, your nutrition, your hydration, and your thinking time is more important than work. What's left is work time. And then you can be your best version of you at work. If you put work first and everything planned around it, you'll not be happy because your true values will lie in your non-work life. So therefore, not fulfilling those means you can't be your best at work. So I did this, and you're going to see my model day. Get ready. So my model day, if you can see that, starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I get up, I exercise, of course, I walk my black lab Rolo, and I spend time doing what's called the miracle morning. It's really important to me to meditate, to do some journaling or reading. I then have a rule in there where I allow myself to watch GMTV for half an hour because I love watching Susanna and whoever a co-presenter is, and I love catching up on the news. I then get the family up, I do my chores, I do my jobs, I get dressed. If there's any time left, I'll spend a bit of time, bit more reading and journaling before my work starts at 9 o'clock. I have started my day with intention and I have checked in with the people that matter the most to me, of which I put myself in that bracket. Because if you don't respect yourself, you can't respect anybody else around you. I then have modeled what a morning could look like and what an afternoon could look like, and they're interchangeable because it depends on the needs, the wishes, and the desires of my clients. And I've put rules against it. So I don't know if you can see, but at 10 o'clock, it's my creating content, whether that's workshops, presentations, social media, courses for my clients. And I've put no phone distraction. So I switch my phone off and I turn my notifications off. Because if I don't put that rule in place, I will be distracted and I will end up scrolling. I just know that of myself. My day will end around 5 o'clock and then I'm back to family and life. And my evening obviously will depend on if there's any other commitments in there. But now I'm no longer a mum taxi because my girls can drive themselves. I can focus a bit more on myself. But obviously, if you've got people that rely on you, you need to think what your schedule looks like. And my end of my day ends with going to bed at 9 and lights out at 9:30. Can you tell I went to a boarding school? Lights out. This model day will not work every day, but it gives you something to anchor yourself on, and it gives you something to come back to reset on a regular basis. Now, at this point, you might be sat there going, Teresa, get real. This is not my life. This is not the real world. You don't understand my world. I'm too busy for all this nonsense. I hope you're not thinking that. But if you are, just stop for a minute. I do understand your world to some degree. If your world is busy, if your hours are zooming by, if you are not being as productive as you think you should be, and if you're not truly happy, I get it. I've been there. I know it. And do you know what's most important? This. Everything is super important in your life until you are poorly. Then you realize there was only ever one thing that was important, and that is your health. So this time management little snapshot puts you at the center of your 24 hours. You need to make sure that you are driving your 24 hours where as possible. Now, obviously, there's always demands on you, which will come flying in, and you have to jig things around. But if you can get yourself focused in putting you first, you can control the way you meet the challenges that are put in front of you. So therefore, you're keeping your power. And don't be worried about disappointing somebody by saying no. Saying no is kinder than saying yes and not delivering. And when you live to be 100 years old, for a minute, think about what advice would you give to your 7-year-old self when you are 100 years old? It is not going to be spend more time working. So we're nearly there, guys. I'm just trying to move along. You can tell the technology is not my friend today. So what are we going to do? Snapshot, complete that time audit, confirm your non-negotiables and create your boundaries. Where can you share some things? Where can you offload? Where can you delegate? What do you need to stop doing? And therefore you can anchor your ideal day, your model day. Remove the distractions by creating the rules. Write your lists, prioritize your tasks. Share with people when you are available to them so they know this is the time they can come and speak to you. This is the time they can't. Make sure you schedule in looking after you with your water, your food, and your sleep. And in the end, you will finally reclaim your 24 hours. How do you feel about when you've done that, sharing your planning and goals with those that will keep you accountable for your 24 hours? Allow yourself to be the best version of you and strive for balance in your life. You are so important to you. You're so important to those around you. Work and life are not separated. I'm not keen on the work-life balance quote. I believe it's life balance. So I hope those few things have helped you. I hope it's given you some fuel for thought. Thank you for bearing with me with my technology. This is me. If you want to know more about what I can offer, then please feel free to pop onto my website. There's the QR code, www.we'vegotthis.uk, or give me a call. I'd love to speak to you. There's various programs that I'm running. They're all on the website, or we can talk. And I really look forward to tomorrow. If you can spare another 30 minutes, let's talk about supporting new leaders, setting them up for success and not stress. Let's help our new leaders thrive and let them be the future of our businesses. Thank you so much for sharing your lunch with me. If you've got time, if you've got any questions, I will try and answer them. And it's been lovely to spend this time with you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.